All right, so we're still on the major scale and we're still memorizing all the different positions, right? I believe we've worked up to position 3. And I will continue in future episodes to add on each of the different shapes, the rest of them. But we're gonna take a little break here in the middle, not a break from practice, but a break from those episodes to do a description or an explanation of something that I just added on to my YouTube channel. And that is a backing track to practice your major scales. I've made it specifically for the way that we've been doing it, like 3 notes per string. Also, because we've been working on the circle of fifths, we're gonna do it in fourths. You'll see what I mean when we get to it. So, well, let's get to it. So we've been working on 3 notes per string, and I came up with a cool way to make it so that I could practice it. This backing track that I've done on my YouTube channel is, it basically takes you through a daily practice routine that you can do at full speed, which is 90 beats per minute. If we're playing 8th notes, you guys can do those calculations. It should take about 17 minutes to do. So that's 17 minutes of major scale practice, and it's all the patterns, so all 7 patterns that we discuss. Like I said earlier, I think we're up to pattern 3, but we'll be doing all 7 eventually, and this practice includes that. Now, if you're not comfortable doing, say for instance, pattern 4 or 5 or 2 for that matter, then you've got a couple different options. One is you don't have to keep up with the timing, and because the pattern will show up on the screen. Let me get it up here for you so that we can see what I'm talking about. As we're doing the lesson, it's going to look like this, and it's going to show us the key that we're in, and then also you see in this example we're in B flat and we're working on scale pattern 1, and it shows us the fingering, right? But we'll be in B flat, so you'll just be up here. And the way that this video backing track works is you just play that once. B flat in that pattern would play once. The trick is it's going to start in the key of C on the circle of fifths, and it's going to go around the circle. So we're going to play all 12 keys. In other words, if we start at C, and we know that a perfect 4th from C would be F, and then we'd be going to B flat, which we have here, to E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, and it ends on G, and that would be pattern 1. So we will have done 12 practice sessions of pattern 1, but all over the fretboard. That's the beauty of this. So at the same time we're learning, you know, where to be, for instance, for B flat or D or C or G, and we're also learning the 3 notes per string, the major scale. And we're also learning the circle of fifths, because we're going to play in fourths. Because remember, if we do this daily, then you're going to know, like when you first start doing it, you're like, what comes after F? Well, shortly, you're going to just know B flat because you do it every day. But it doesn't end there. That's not the end of our torture. Once we're done with pattern 1, then the backing track goes to pattern 2. And it does the same thing. It'll go C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and it'll follow through it. So in the video, basically what happens is we start at C, right? And it's got this nice little music in the background, right? It's jamming, it's got our groove going, and then it switches keys. It's 5 measures at 90 beats per minute. I've timed it so that you can go up and back down exactly in 8th notes for the 90-minute pattern here. So it'll do each key, but it doesn't give you any breathing room, because remember, the idea behind this practice is to instantly move to the next position for that shape. And so like I said, pattern 1 will go through all of them, and then what happens is after it finishes with pattern 1, it jumps right to pattern 2. And it shows you on the screen what pattern 2 is in case you don't remember. And so you guys know if we're in C, right, in order to get to pattern 2, we have to do a whole step over because we have to actually go up the scale. And the cool thing is, as most of us already know, but then position 2 is also Dorian, right? It'd be Dorian, D Dorian. But in this case, we're playing in C. So what I like to do is, and I've talked about this before, I like to hit that C first to give me that bass, but having a backing track kind of eliminates that if I don't want it, because I've got the backing track playing in the key of C. So when I get over here, I know that if I'm following this, that I'm in C, even though I'm doing pattern 2, which starts on D. I hope you follow that. It's pretty straightforward. So position 2 is just moving up a whole step, and because it's the major scale, right, which is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Each step of our pattern will be the same thing. Now pattern 2 is pretty easy, right, because it's just a whole step over. But by the time we get up to, like, say, pattern 4, right, it becomes a lot harder to manage. Because if you think about it, right, so this one's in E. For one thing, one part that I've got to manage is E's an open string over here, right? So I might think I'm starting up here at the 12th fret. And in order to get to 4, I have to walk up that scale. So here's the beauty, another beauty of what we're doing here is, because we're learning in fourths anyway, by the time we get to pattern 4, now we're having to remember, so what is the 4th of E? Well, we know because we work with the circle of fifths, and also because of this practice that we'll be doing, that E, the 4th is A. So you don't have to actually, and by the way, you know that the 4th is directly below also, right? If I'm, or up, if I'm on the low E string, any note that I play, the 4th is in that same fret, but 1 string higher, right? So if I'm playing an A here, I know that if I go 1 string higher, I just went a 4th up from A to D, right? So, sounds like we got a cool storm rolling in. Hopefully I don't lose power until we're done recording this. So if we're on E, and we know that we have to jump up to the 4th, which is A, now I'm all the way over here, right? I don't want to do that. That's another cool thing about knowing the 4th, because we know where another A is, all the way back here at the 5th, right? So even though I started at the open string, I don't mind coming back to here. The same thing could be said for E flat, right? Or D. If I'm playing D, I may not want to go all the way up here to G to start when I do the 4th position. Instead, I would just start with G here. When you first start using this backing track, again, I recommend you use it daily, because the first couple days you're going to be futzing around and trying to figure out where the heck am I and stuff, and wait, what is pattern 4 shaped like again? But a couple days in and you'll be used to the circle of fourths, doing a 4th up each time with the scale pattern that we do. And then you'll also know what that 4th is. So when I'm in the key of E, which we've got up here, that my 4th is A, right? And the same thing can be said when we're doing pattern 5, because pattern 5 in a similar fashion is going to be the perfect 5th is where we're starting, because we're on pattern 5. You guys are seeing what's going on here, right? It's the degrees, but they're also the interval. The degrees of the major scale are the interval. So if I have a B flat, then I know that I'll be over here, which immediately tells me that it's F, because remember, to get to a perfect 5th, right, we go up a string and up 2 frets. So if I am in the key of B flat and I want to start in the 5th pattern, I would go to F. Well, I might start that all the way back here instead of starting it up here. But if I was counting by hand, I would be like trying to find where I am, right? And then end up over here and be crammed up in here. But if I just know it in my head, B flat, the 5th, oh, I'm on F. I can start back here. And I can do the pattern back here. If I knew what the pattern was. Remember, we're only on pattern 3, so I'm cheating a little bit and look. I gotta look at it. And there's my root. B flat. Right, so even though I started up here on F, I'm able to, in pattern 5, I'm able to end on the root note. So like I said, the timing gives you time to go up and back down on the patterns, right? But when you get into these more, like I don't memorize pattern 5 yet. I haven't memorized it yet. I'm working on pattern 3 and starting to incorporate pattern 4. Since I don't know that, that doesn't mean I can't utilize that in the backing track, right? There's a couple different options that I have. The main one would be just play up and kind of work on trying to memorize that thing, because I'll be going slower than the 90 beats per minute in 1/8 notes. Just play it up, and then by the time I kind of tinker my way to that and get it figured out, it'll be time for the key change. And then I'll go pattern 5 with the next one, and then pattern 5 with the next one. A couple of days into it though, pattern 5 should start being ingrained in my head, and eventually I'll be able to go up and back down inside that time frame. Now, time frame brings up one last thing that I wanted to talk about on this backing track thing. Hopefully everybody knows this about YouTube by now. We've talked about it a couple times in our lessons, but if you hit this little settings gear icon here, right, you have an option for playback speed. And playback speed allows us, if I'm at 90 beats per minute, right, I could go to 45 beats per minute. Say for instance, I'm really new to this and I'm really struggling with it. I can go to 50%, like that. Now my playback speed is much slower. Listen to this rhythm. It's so much slower. And the cool thing about YouTube, when it changes the speed, it doesn't change the pitch. So your music in a backing track stays the same. So I use that as a really handy tool for slowing down solos, tough solos in songs and stuff like that. And it keeps the pitch for you. So I highly recommend that. If you're having trouble with the backing track at 90 beats per minute, slow it down some. Utilize YouTube's built-in tools and slow it down to 50. I'll go back to 75% or something to run through it. Remember though, that'll make it longer than the 17 minutes, right? I mean, obviously if we're slowing it down, it's going to take longer to complete. The opposite side of that though is good news, because as we get really good at it at 90 beats per minute, then we can speed it up also, because YouTube has options to go both directions. So if we get to 1.5 times speed, right, we will cut down on how long it takes us to go through this. Now, I mean, it would be, that's pretty fast, right? I mean, if you were playing your scale at that speed, I would be pretty impressed. As a matter of fact, put it in the comments if you're able to play it at 1.5 percent of the YouTube video speed, playback speed. I want to hear about it, and I'd love to see some video footage of that too, because I bet it's pretty interesting. My hope is that as we get better at 3 notes per string and continue working with this on a daily basis, that we are able to do that. At the very least, to be able to speed up to 1.25% of the 90 beats per minute. You know, it would be really cool to get up into, you know, 120, 140, 150 beats per minute with doing 3 notes per string. At 8 notes, that would be killer. But for now, I've got it set at 90 because that's like my comfort zone. Like I said, where your comfort zone is up to you. So adjust the speed accordingly for that. Now I'll put a link for the backing track in case you guys didn't see when I uploaded that the other day. But I'll put a link in this video that takes you right to that backing track. This was just basically an overview of how to use it. Now you click on that link, and from now on your daily practice, this is a backing track that you can use if you're trying to do 3 notes per string, learn the major scale in every scale pattern, every position, every shape, every whatever it is, all 7 of them. I hope you enjoyed this, and I really hope you guys dig the backing track. Let me know what you think. Leave me some comments below. Let me know, because if you like this, I want to know about it, because I would like to make future backing tracks. I probably will, for my own benefit, of things like pentatonic minor, a similar kind of setup, where based on what we're doing with it is how many measures of a certain key we'll do and everything. But yeah, let me know, and then I'll keep doing these kinds of things. And look for next week, we'll be talking about pattern shape 4, because it's time to keep moving on with our 3 notes per string. So I'll see you guys next week. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends if you dig, and have a good week. Thanks.